Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we proudly present our spectacular show of podcast magic and imagination full of Disney wonder, news, and pop culture. It's the Main Street Electrical Podcast with Jenn Dave and David Dollar.
Happy New Year, Jen.
Happy New Year, Dave.
Considering the month is 1/3 over, I guess you can still say Happy New Year.
You know what? It's still fine. It's like the first half. I feel like you get to say it for the first half of the month.
True. Our tree is still up. But where I'm sitting right now, I look over my computer and the tree is still there. Not because we're those people that have to have it up all January. It's just we haven't gotten around putting everything down yet. It's just it's not the time. It's this weekend. I've got the Christmas village that's going to come down. All the ornaments come down, and what'll happen is I'll take the tree down. I'll take the ornaments down, and then I will take the tree, the garland, the lights, and all of that will go away. The ornaments are Stephanie, my wife's responsibility, and they'll sit on the table for like 2 weeks until she'll finally, because she has a little particular way of doing it. And I guess you girls are like, we have to organize the ornaments. These are over here, and those are over there. And
that's accurate.
Yeah.
That seems reasonable.
Nodding her head because she knows what it's like. That, of course, is quasi-producer of the show, the Moana Mom herself, a.k.a. Heather. Welcome back, Heather.
Hello. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to have you on. We're going to be talking about 2023 in review. It's a show that we like to do every January, kind of looking back over the last year, maybe putting a little pixie dust button on the year as we move forward. But we're going to talk about some topics and all the fun things that happened last year, some big things, some small things, some tragic things, some happy things. We'll talk about all that. But first, Jen, I'm going to ask you, how did you Disney in the last 2 weeks?
Gosh, in the last 2 weeks, well, I'm gonna say my bigger Disney, but this is like my unofficial Disney because this is my new water cup with our beautiful logo. Thanks to friend of the show, River.
Yes, from Journey to the Imagination podcast.
Yes, and so thank you to River for this. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see how beautiful it is.
Oh, it's a cool little thing that you got for winning a contest. I don't remember how you cheated. I remember there being some shenanigans there, but it doesn't matter. I've moved forward.
It's okay. Our audience knows better. But the way I officially Disneyed was I was in Disney for New Year's. Literally, Brady and I went down as we have a few other different years for over New Year's. We have friends who have an anniversary that night and they always walk around the park. So we have a good time seeing them. I actually hadn't seen Christine in like 3 years. So it was so exciting getting to see her again. And then we had Brady's. Divas Christine. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then we had Brady's sister and her husband with us. And that was their first Epcot New Year's. So that was very fun because they're huge Disney fans. So they really enjoyed that aspect. And then we had a surprise because the morning before, Kyla messages me and she's like, so Kyla, friend of the show, is like, hey, I'm coming down. I was like, what? Actually, she said, what time's dinner tonight? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, what time's dinner tonight? I was like, oh my gosh, are you coming down? She's like, yeah. I was like, sweet. So we had a big old party in Epcot.
How was it how was Epcot at New Year's Eve? I mean, I'm assuming it's just a blast and it's crazy and it's busy. I mean, it's one of those you go into it knowing it's going to be crowded as crap.
Correct.
You have to get over that.
It's like if you're going
this crowded,
you are not going on now during the day. It's not that I haven't been there New Year's Eve, like during the day. It's lines are crazy. I mean, it's busy, but you go knowing you're like, yep. I am doing this. I am not here to ride rides. I am not here for anything other than to just experience it and be here. Because really, once it gets dark, the parties start around the world. Because like the first ones to celebrate, there's like 4 or 5 countries like Germany, France, etc. They hit New Year's first at like 6 p.m. Eastern time. And then at 7 p.m. it's the UK. And then it kind of like goes from there. There's various other ones around the world that, and so if you're in the UK pavilion at their midnight, like everyone's toasting, they're like, Happy New Year. And then you go to the next country, Happy New Year.
I'm sure there was alcohol involved on all the World Showcase.
I mean,
it's flowing freely.
They actually, there are extra buckets put around.
I mean, they're serving a beer at Kidcot. It's just ridiculous. Everybody's drinking in Epcot.
It is.
And you can't go New Year's Eve and be surprised by the crowds. It's like going into Disney World in July going, I didn't realize it'd be this hot. Yes, you did.
Yeah,
it's July.
yes, you did.
But no Park Passes like a month in advance.
Oh, yeah. It sells out.
You could not get into Epcot. No.
And they did not open them back up It was, so like, park hopping. I didn't see them shut off park hopping this year. Technically they could if it gets to capacity. But yeah, you just kind of know. And they do have, of course, fireworks, which is amazing.
Right.
And then there was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, the dance parties are like, they're
Legit.
fantastic. They are legit. Our favorite ones in China, they have a dragon. I'm disappointed that the dragon does not breathe fire now. It used to breathe fire. Now it breathes smoke, and they have fire that goes up into the air. But the dragon used to like fire, and that was like really sweet.
Well, I mean, we were getting the pictures and the videos, so it looked like an amazing time. And I mean, I watched the fireworks from the house, so you guys look like you had a great time.
We did. We definitely had a great time. So we walked around a lot, and so that's how I Disney. That was my long-winded version.
Meanwhile, at 11:45 New Year's Eve, I'm actually in my office, and I think I'm actually working a little bit, doing a quote or something. And about 10 till I walk downstairs, and my wife's watching a Hallmark movie, and I'm like, well, I guess I should be down here for New Year's. So, Happy New Year, New Year's kiss. All right, I'm gonna go upstairs and finish real quick so we can go to bed. I mean, that was it. That was our New Year's. Heather, how have you Disney in the last few weeks? We haven't talked to you well, we haven't talked to you on the podcast. I talk to you daily, but we haven't talked to you on the podcast in a little while.
How have I Disney? Well, I met Val and Kristen in Epcot the other day, and I have this new obsession, which I know you guys know about because I just comment on my lunch break. I literally run down to Epcot. How many days do I do it? Where I'm like, I am obsessed with the General Tso's salad at Connections. And I literally will be like, oh, well, it's almost my lunchtime, so I'm popping down to Epcot to get my salad and then come back home.
This is literally, I think every other day you say that. I'm like, you're really okay.
I'm obsessed with it. So yes, I would say that I met up with Val and I met up with Jen whenever she was down here. I did not go to New Year's because one, it was crazy, and two, even Disney Springs hit capacity because Kyla had messaged me and said, hey, do you want to come down here and meet us? And I was like, sure, I'll drive down. And whenever I was driving down there, mind you, I am stopped at a red light or anything. I am taking live footage video of her to show her that all of the parking lots are saying full. And this is well before Disney Springs even gets hopping on New Year's
Eve. And there's a lot of parking too there.
It was during the day. It was
during the day. And the surface parking said full. And she messaged me back and said, I don't even know what surface parking is. How is it possibly full? So I said to her, okay, so we're going to have to do this another time. I'm just driving back home. It's 15 minutes. It's no big deal. And she's like, oh no, I feel terrible. And on the way home, I'm thinking to myself, I think that it is amazing that we are here during a holiday and Disney is giving priority for the guests that are on, they're staying at the hotels. It is blocked off for us locals. You cannot go in, you cannot park, you cannot do anything. But all those people that paid to stay over the holiday, those buses are coming in and out. And I'm like, great, this is magical for them. And then it occurred to me, what if I had a dining reservation? And I am under my 2-hour window, right? Where I can cancel, because I was there plenty of time to be there before what my dinner reservation would have been. Where am I going? Because the police were stopped. People were just parked on those ramps waiting for those little red lights to turn green for someone to leave. And they had it blocked off. It was it's full. You're not getting in. And I'm driving back and I was like, well, what would you do if you were a local and you had a reservation? And you're not just coming down here to just say I was meet friends. I legit had a dining reservation. How do I get in there? And I was driving past Coronado Springs and I thought, this is a convention center hotel. If you are in a holiday like this and you have a dining reservation, what if they gave you the option that you show your dining reservation as you pull up to Coronado Springs because they have plenty of parking because they're convention that says, hey, I have a Disney Spring reservation. I'm within my 2-hour window. The parking lot is full. Is it okay for me to park here? You just park there and they're parking. You hop on the bus right down to Disney Springs, which is straight down the road, and you still made your reservations. Disney still got your business, and you technically are following the rules. It's ingenious. And I'm like, they need to have something that does that for not even so much locals, but if you are just coming in and you have a reservation, there was no way you were making your reservation that night.
Right.
Everything was closed.
Now, I love that idea too, but I do think there needs to be, for that particular instance, there needs to be a higher charge for no shows, because I do feel like there would be a lot of people that would reserve and never show up, which would screw dining up. So instead of $10 a person, what if you charge like, $100 straight across the board, or there is a charge of $25 a person or something like that to kind of deter some of that, because, if the three of us decide to do something like that, that's $30. We'll just split the cost.
Right.
But if now we're looking at $150 in charges for not showing up for dining, that's more of a deterrent there. And but I love that idea. I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
And stuff. So,
Josh, take note.
Josh. Yeah, well, Josh listens, and so I'm sure he's sitting down with a notepad with a little Mickey pad and kind of writing his notes and things like that. And so
yeah, we appreciate that.
Our Disney, basically, we got to sit down. My wife and I sat down. Because in any family, when you go to Disney, at some point along the way in planning, you have those sit down conversations. All right, what are we doing about this? What are we doing about that? What are we, it's not just, oh yeah, we should go here, we should do that. I mean, we're actually literally sitting down talking about February, because she's coming down in February, which is great. It's confirmed she's going to be there. I'm going to stay at Pop Century for the first few nights of the stay, because we're the whole Princess Marathon. She's coming in Friday night. We'll be at the Contemporary probably until the middle of the following week, which our 20th anniversary is Wednesday. We're trying to figure out a way to stay until Wednesday, because we would like to be at Disney property on our 20th, because that's where we got married. We didn't get married at Disney, but that was our honeymoon.
Yeah.
When I planned our honeymoon, it was in a brick and mortar store at a travel agency across town in 2003. I had no idea what I was doing. And we stayed at Caribbean Beach in the Jamaica section. We had 4 nights at the parks. My first visit to Animal Kingdom, my first visit to Epcot, my first visit to Hollywood Studios, or MGM Studios, excuse me, at the time.
That's right.
Back in 2004. So yeah, very, very nostalgic memories, but great conversations. I love having those planning conversations. And, we're going to try to have dinner maybe somewhere like Le Cellier, which was one of our favorites when we had our honeymoon and stuff. And just, I'm excited about going back. I haven't been there in probably 10 years. And
oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah. The last trip they went in December without me, and Steph's like, oh yeah, we ate at Le Cellier and it was really good. And I'm like, why did you eat there? Because I haven't been there for 10 years, and I'm so sad right now. And I'm so as the young folks say, like Heather and Jen, I was totes jelly. I think that's what you say. I don't even know anymore. But let's talk a little bit about first before we get to January, before we get to 2023. Of course, yesterday was January the 9th, and that was the big day. That was the day that a lot of things happened. Dining plan is now back. Now it's back in session, where your server is now asking you the wonderful question: are you guys on the Disney dining plan? I cannot wait to hear a server say that. It's the little things, but I cannot wait to hear my server say that to me. Why, yes, I am. Or, I'm not on the dining plan, but thank you for asking. I can't wait. I'm excited.
It makes me so happy.
Park reservations, gone. If you're not an annual pass holder, if you're just a regular guest with no annual passes or whatever,
a date-based ticket.
With a date-based ticket, yes, like a ticket you purchase for a specific set of dates,
Yes.
You don't need to make a Park Pass reservation. If you get up one morning and like, you know what, honey, we're supposed to go to Epcot today, but I'm kind of feeling like Kilimanjaro Safari. Let's go to Animal Kingdom. All right, let's do that. You can do that. There is no going on your app and changing parks over. For annual pass holders, there's no more 2 p.m. park. Like after 2 p.m. you can go wherever. Now, with annual pass holders, I believe with military and things like special tickets, convention tickets, things like that, which if they're convention tickets, you have to talk to whoever you're.
Yeah, that's a whole different animal.
But with annual passes military, you do have to make Park Pass reservations. Jen, what are some specifics on that in terms of annual pass holders? What are the rules on this park, like going now as an AP? I guess
and I'll have Heather weigh in too, but like we still basically Heather, you and I agree, still make park reservations, right? Like
100%.
If you're going.
You're already schooled. You've been doing it for how many years? Just still do it.
Just still do it. But after 2 p.m., you don't have to. Like, it's fine. Also, if you make a reservation, say for like Magic Kingdom, and you're like, oh no, I need to go get my salad at Connections Cafe. If you're Heather, then feel like, it's fine. Just show up at Epcot after 2:00. It's not going to be a problem if you haven't checked at the Magic Kingdom. At least per my understanding, I know people who have done that. It hasn't been an issue. It's after 2. However, just make it, even though we have quote good to go days, etc. Just make the reservation. It's going to save everybody hassle and heartache and everything else, because honestly, you'll probably be able to change it. And worst case scenario, now that the park hopping scenario has changed. If you had to go check in and then just hop, then
it's
whatever.
No big deal. It's no big deal.
No big
and to
deal.
be honest, it's just like from living here, like we have done it many times prior to this, that we have a park reservation and say we're just like, oh no, we decided we want to go to Magic Kingdom. We would just flip in and then just amend it and then change it to that. Very rarely, other than over these holidays, clearly. That was like about the only time that you couldn't do it. And now it's just going to be like super easy. There's going to be occasional days that you can't do it. But I mean, just make it, just because you don't know, like if you're coming during cheer week or if you're coming during a run Disney race weekend, or if you're coming, like you're going
New Year's
Friday,
Eve, make your reservation.
Correct. You're going at the first day of a festival. Just make the reservation. You have peace of mind. It doesn't matter what time you get there, and you're done.
Yeah. Perfect.
Very good. Yeah, I think with the annual passes and such, you're right. Make the reservations regardless. The good to go days, those are days that Disney will announce that you can go to. You don't have to make a reservation for. And from what I've read, I believe, well, they haven't announced those as of today. I think tomorrow, by the end of the week, they will announce those, which we don't know if they're going to be 6 weeks in advance or they're going to announce the whole year, or we have no idea. No idea. So yeah. So stay tuned. But yeah, that all happened yesterday. Really exciting. I mean, everybody was a buzz about how things are. I mean, I hate to say things are going back to normal, but they kind of are at this point, which is really nice. So let's look at 2023 as a whole. What I've done is made a list basically month by month of some of the big events that have happened every month. And every month has at least one thing. Some months like April and September, tons of news. But let's go all the way back to last January, of course, January 22nd, which we're coming up on a year now. Splash Mountain's final day. They finally closed Splash Mountain at Disney World. The last time you're going to see Brer Rabbit. Last time you see Brer Fox and all them singing and such. Did you guys get to ride it like close to its closing, or
close to the closing? Yeah,
I think we were there the day before, because we used to always go down the weekend of like the 16th, because it's my mom's birthday. So we would always go down whenever that was. So we got on it like I think 2 days before, 1 or 2 days before it closed. So Kylie got to ride it one last time and cried.
Yeah. And so it's been closed.
Still the same ride, people. It's going to be the same
ride track.
It's going to be Tiana's Bayou Adventure, which is going to open sometime later this year. They've said fall 2024, maybe September, maybe November. We have no idea, but it's coming. I don't know. February, not a lot happening in February. The Princess Half Marathon. I only mentioned that because we got to go to the Princess Half Marathon.
Yes.
My very first Run Disney experience, which I was really excited about. And so we got to do the half marathon, doing that again in this coming February, which the whole group of us are going, the Upon a Star agents and friends and such. And, and so we'll have a fun time there. March, Woody's Roundup Rodeo finally opened in Hollywood Studios in Toy Story Land. And have you guys been to Roundup Rodeo? Impressions on Roundup Rodeo? What are your thoughts on that?
Mine seem to love it. I have not done it yet.
It's on my list for my March trip. We're going. But all the feedback has been very good on it. Although someone correct me, didn't they just change the menu a little bit? Something with the sides.
They took away some of the sides. Some of the sides. Now, we went in like a March, couple weeks after it opened, and they had the full menu there. And even though it's one of those where you pick one entree and you pick 2 sides or whatever for the table, they will bring you pretty much everything. I had a client that went in September by herself, and she's a chef. She's a friend of the show, Melissa, who's the host of the Food for Thought cast. And she went to Woody's Roundup Rodeo, and she basically asked for something of everything. And they brought her a sample of every single thing on the menu. Yeah. She tried everything. They take away some of the sides, so you don't have quite as many sides. And I don't know if they'll still do the whole, like, we'll bring you everything kind of thing, or if you have to pay extra for it. Now, I know they were looking at getting rid of food waste. I'm sure they were wasting a lot of food.
I'm sure they were.
Bring you a whole bucket of mac and cheese, and you're like, 3 bites. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah. That's a lot of food. Just a lot of food.
So Roundup Rodeo, I definitely am interested in hearing your impression on that, Jen, because I think it's really good. The theming is wonderful. It's a great little theme.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm very excited to see the theming. But yeah, that's on my list for March. Obviously, I can't make them yet, but I've got I think 3 days. Better figure that out.
Yep. And the 50th anniversary ended at the end of March, and I will not ever be able to think about the 50th anniversary celebration without thinking, of course, Quasi-Producer Heather, the Moana Mom, who way back in late 2020, early 2021, I guess 2020, was putting together the process and the group meetup for everybody to come together October 1st, 2021. I was one of those sitting on the sidewalk at the Contemporary at 3 a.m, waiting to get into the Magic Kingdom. We all finally got in there, to see what was going on, see what was happening, see the dedication. And of course, Jenn strolls in, having slept in till 5 or 6. She strolls in, goes right on up and standing up with us. She's like, "Hey guys, I just got here." La, la, la.
Some might say that I was the smart one.
Probably. Yeah. So, but of course, the 50th anniversary ends. We had a whole conversation about that whole episode. I think 3 of us and Kyla talking about the 50th. Heather, any final last impressions on the 50th from last year? Do you remember it fondly? Is it kind of a fading memory now?
No, I think about it often because every time I walk by one of those statues, I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember when this was like a new thing. And I still tell clients, which they have fixed. Disney was listening to everybody's feedback, and now you can walk up to them and those things talk like nothing. I was thinking about it the other day, and then I was like, wait a minute, what year are we on? 55 is coming up here. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was sitting on that curb and I was like, I'm going to move here. And I made it here right before it ended.
Yeah. So March is when you moved, correct? Is that when you moved down?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're coming up 1 full year. So there we go. That's also a headline in March. Heather moves home. She basically moves home.
I moved home.
Moved home. So April had a lot going on this month, and I don't have the dates for everything, but we do know that April 3rd, Happily Ever After returned, and Epcot Forever returned. No longer did we have Enchantment. No longer did we have Harmonious. We lost both, and I don't know if they'll ever bring any of them back. I'm not sure they'll bring Enchantment back because it just wasn't that.
I thought they were doing it during the after hours. They're doing Enchantment.
It plays during the after hours.
Except for the after hours, they'll bring it back. That's what I meant. You guys cut me off there, but except for the after hours, I know that there was tears from people that we know that Happily Ever After was coming back when they made that announcement. And I'm assuming both of
day
you.
One.
Yeah, you were there
Such
day
a
one
good show.
when it came back. So,
and I said it when it went away. I was like, "It is coming back, people. I believe it." And that is the first time we went back to the park after it moved. I did it on purpose. I was like, "I'm not going back until Happily Ever After." And the other night, a candlelight processional, which was probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, Jordan Fisher was the speaker, and he opened up his thing, and he was like, "Ready to begin," and everybody was like. It was great.
Jordan Fisher is one of those. That is a Disney fan selection there. I mean, a lot of people want to see
100%.
Brendan Fraser and Joey McIntyre and such, but Jordan Fisher or Paige O'Hara, Jodie Benson, those are Disney
fan favorites. Yeah,
not Joe Schmo on the road would know who exactly those people are. So yeah, that opened up. I've seen it since, and it's spectacular. I honestly think, and this is I don't want to get onto the whole discussion, but I do think that if Enchantment had been more popular, I don't think Happily Ever After would have had to come back, because I think Enchantment just wasn't. I don't think it was that good of a show, So Happily Ever After,
David.
let's fix it. And so Epcot Forever returned, and of course we'll get to what replaced it coming up as we, in about 8 months. Tron opened up the day after, so the 3rd, 4th. That was a busy weekend for Disney World because Tron's Life Cycle Run opened up. Jenn, you got to go down for the preview, correct? Did you not?
Okay. I was scheduled to go down, but that ended up being when I moved. So I did not end up down there because I was moving.
That's right. Casa de Novotny opened up in April. I forgot about that. Yes. Yeah. So, and Heather
it killed me, but I was not
early
there.
On. So, I didn't get to ride it till, was it May or I don't remember when I got to ride it actually.
May was my first ride. May was the first time I got to go.
Maybe it was later in the summer. It may have been. I don't remember. I honestly, it all runs together at this point. I don't remember. Great, fantastic ride. I know we love Guardians probably the most. I think all of 3 of us probably agree on that. But Tron, great coaster. I know Heather, you were a fan of Tron as well.
It's just, it needs to be longer. That's all. They could have made it. They just needed to make it longer. I mean, I rode it in China and I was like, oh, this is short. Maybe they'll make ours longer. And I was riding it with a guest the other day, and she was asking all these questions as she was getting on it. And then at the end, she was like, is that it? And I was like, yes. And she was like, wait, for real? And I was like, have you rode Guardians in Epcot?
See, and it's funny because Brady and Heather will fight about which one's better.
Oh my gosh, we argue about it.
They argue about it.
Well, and they instituted what Universal has done for years. They had a locker system, which honestly, I know Universal's been doing it for years. I think Disney's works even better than Universal's does.
Great.
It just works really, really well.
It works
I can imagine for e-ticket rides, because I think there'll be don't quote me on this, I think there'll be a roller coaster of some sort, a thrill ride in the Villains Park that will be coming, that Heather and I talked about. I think they'll do the locker system for
unconfirmed people, but this is our suspicion.
Unconfirmed, that's the rumor, but that's my prediction. So yeah, great locker system there. A couple of weeks later, annual passes went back on sale for the first time in a very long time. And I remember we all went nuts for that. Well, I, who was not an AP holder, went nuts for that. I was on early, and I remember, I got mine early, actually. Myself and my son got one. And then, everything shut down not too long after that, as Disney IT tends to do when it's overwhelmed with the system. And it was crazy. Everybody's getting their annual passes because we didn't know if they would sell out. Turns out, I don't think they ever actually sold out, and they're actually on sale right now. And so, but it's one of those, you gotta get it when you can. Animal Kingdom celebrated the 25th anniversary. It
was a fun day. I went to it.
So, yeah.
It was cute.
I mean, I don't know what all happened. I know they probably did a presentation of some sort, and there was a special map and whatever, but yeah, Animal Kingdom 25th anniversary. Looking at May, not a whole lot of May. They did open up booking for 2024 at the end of May, which is a few days earlier.
A little bit earlier.
A little bit earlier. Of course, in June, Rogers the Musical happened over at Disneyland, which I never got to see. I know so many people who could care less about Marvel that saw that show. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it was so much fun." I'm like,
"It's so good." They have to bring it back.
I'm hoping. I think they'll bring it back in the summer. I mean, I don't know like when they'll announce that. Probably in a couple of months. But I feel like that'll be a summer go-to for Disneyland because it was so hugely popular. The soundtrack's on sale now. You can get it on iTunes and such. The Pixar movie opened up, Elemental. And I'm bringing this up because Elemental, when it first hit the theaters, did not open very well. People were like, "Oh my gosh, Pixar's dead. Look at this bad, Disney animation, blah, whatever." And Disney's had a rough patch with animation, admittedly. But Elemental chugged along all summer into the fall and turned out quite a good profit. Like one of the top
I really thought it was a great
movie. It's a great indication of, I get it. People have problems with certain Disney things for whatever reason. Some great, some not. I understand that. I get it. Figure out what the problem is. Experience it. Read the book. Watch the movie. Whatever. Before you go, I'm not gonna watch that because Disney. I saw it and I'm like, with very objective eyes, and I was like coming out there going, "That's a good story. I like that story.
It's a great story.
It's a great movie.
Oh my, I love it.
I was like so vested in the characters.
Oh my gosh. And like emotionally, like you were crying at that scene, like when he disappears and then the little drops start coming out.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like it was, and I didn't see it until it was on Disney Plus and the girls were watching it. And I was like, well, I guess we can watch this. And I was like, okay. And I started watching and I was invested. And then I was telling everybody, like, this is an excellent movie. You have to watch it.
I watched it on the airplane. I don't remember which trip, but I was it was one of the selections on the seat back, and I was like, "Oh, I got time." It must have been a Europe one, and I was like, "This is a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's upper half Pixar for me. It really is. It's like 31 or 32 movies. It's upper half.
So
Pixar.
Good.
It's very good. And let me just say this now: anybody out there that's like, "Well, I don't want to watch it because I'm afraid of," it is safe. It is safe for you. It is safe for your kids. There is no message in this other than the harmony that we all need to be a part of. It's a great movie. It really is. And I guess I should mention in May, of course, Little Mermaid opened up. I saw Little Mermaid. I was unimpressed only because I didn't like the way they told the story. And also the under the sea scene was so just underwhelming because you only had like a couple of fishes sing. And I'm like used to the mermaid, the movie, the original movie.
The original where you
all
got
the fishes and everybody dancing and running, whatever.
And everything's like, colors everywhere. And it's like,
Devontae Diggs makes a great Sebastian, by the way. Let me just say that. Great Sebastian. On into July, really the only thing I have is that Trails End became a counter service. It closed and opened up as a counter service instead of a table service. Crockett's Tavern also reopened. Heading into August, a new sushi restaurant opened up at Epcot, which I have not been to. But also in August is when they announced the January 9th date of the Park Pass reservations going away.
Yes.
And everybody was like, and all of a sudden the countdown was on. So heading into September, probably the tragedy of the year. And I feel as if you really corner some Disney executives and you put them under the Veritaserum, the Harry Potter serum, where they have to tell the truth, I think they're going to regret this move. But the Star Cruiser closed down completely. I think they're going to regret it. Maybe not regretting changing it up, but I feel like they're going to regret not keeping it open, or just maybe shutting it down for a year, retooling the entire thing and turning it back into something else.
I agree.
But they just shut the whole thing down, and it was really very sad. I had a couple of clients that booked immediately when they heard it was closing, and
I know a lot of people who were planning for like big like graduation gifts, Christmas gifts.
And they didn't give enough of a window of the closing.
It was a couple months.
Like, they could have made, if they would have stretched that out like 9 months and say, hey, we're closing in 9 months, they would have sold it out for 9 months.
Absolutely.
The waiting lists were insane.
Well, I mean, nuts. Josh did call me about it. I never called him back. But had I called him back, I would have told him simply like, shut it down for a year, retool the entire experience, still make it Star Wars. Don't go heavily invested in the storyline if you don't need to. If you don't feel like that's working, then do that, and you can bring the price point down. And I feel like it'd be more like it would be so much more available to people.
Brady is not,
but.
Yeah, but Brady is not even a person, and we paid full price. Okay, like straight up, this was not an invitation. Brady and I paid full price. He was like, "Let's go again." That was so much fun, and he's not even like a Star Wars like. I mean, he enjoys it; it's fine, but he's not like crazy into it or anything. He just was like, "This is a good time."
Yeah, I didn't get to do it either. It's a little like Rogers the Musical, diehard, lifelong Star Wars fan who didn't get to do it. And I know people who just get careless about Star Wars. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it was such a good time." And I'm like, I'm sure it was great. I'm sure you had a good time, because I didn't. I saw the pictures and they looked great. Awesome. So, bookings opened up for the Disney Cruise Line Treasure in September as well. And I think people are really excited about the Treasure opening up, first sailing at the end of 2024, which is it sold out? Is the opening sailing sold out? I have no idea. If it's not sold out, it's got to be close to being sold out.
I think there was inside staterooms still left on it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be booked up by now.
I haven't looked. I haven't looked recently.
A couple of returns. A couple of returns, of course. Figment returned to Epcot as a meet and greet with a very long wait time for people trying to get in there. I have not met Figment yet. I cannot wait to see Figment finally. But I know that both of you have. I'm sure Heather has, but I know both of you guys have met Figment. The wait wasn't nearly as long for you, right?
It's like 20 minutes now.
Yeah, it's not bad now. It's fine.
You just don't have to be there opening day to say like, oh, I waited in a 3-hour line to see him, and then now it's like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I figured it would drop down after the opening like week or whatever. Like not that the novelty will have worn off, but just like, okay, we're good.
Well, and if you'll excuse a humble brag, I crossed 10,000 followers on my Disney page, Disney on the Dollar on Facebook, and the only reason I bring that up is because, like, if I put certain posts up there just have crazy engagement. I can never predict which posts they are. Some posts I'm like, it's not like anything with Reels, algorithm on Instagram. You put something up, you're like, this is awesome. Oh, look, nobody's looking at it. And you put something just random up there and people go crazy over it. And I put up a post because this was happening where Mirabelle was coming to Magic Kingdom for a meet and greet in the area where Merida was, but Merida was moving, and people lost their minds. Everybody's excited about Mirabelle, but people love Merida. We don't want Mirabelle. We want Merida to stay, and just over. It was like to the point where I actually had to block some people. Yeah,
there were people fighting. There were people fighting in the comments,
and I'm like, I don't understand this. Why does this have 17,000 likes?
Why is it controversial? Like, it's just we're replacing one character.
And Merida was still there, and I don't know if she's there now. I'm hearing questions as to whether she's at the gazebo where Tiana was, but Maribel opened up her meet and greet, so she's there in the little Fantasy Gardens, which is close to the teacup area. Finally, guys, there was a bear in the Magic Kingdom. Do you remember this story? This happened in 2023.
And not the country bears. We're not talking big.
No, not the country bears. It's like Jurassic Park, where Jeff Goldblum says, "Yeah, but if the dinosaurs break down, they don't eat the tourists." Or Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, they don't eat the tourists. Well, if the country bears breaks down, this bear will eat the tourists. It's just you open up social media and like, oh look, there's a bear in. Some bear in Magic Kingdom.
Is this clickbait? It's not.
Yeah, it's not. There was an actual bear.
Heather, control your park.
I know.
So, October also, guests behaving badly. As long as we're talking about bears, we had a guy that jumped in the lagoon from Italy. This also hit the blogs and stuff. People video. Somebody bet him, and I don't know how much alcohol he had, but I'm like, was it worth it? Was it really worth it? Do you hate Disney that much that you're going to spend all that money to come for the day, then jump in the lagoon to say, look at me, I jumped in the lagoon, I'm so cool? No, you're not. You're an idiot, and you shouldn't be driving because you're stupid. Don't jump in the pool. Don't jump in any body of water.
Don't do it. Yeah. Or get in the fountains. That was the other one that was controversial last year at one point. The parents that were in the fountains.
Yes, yeah, and unless you're, let's make the rules. Unless you're at a resort, staying there, and there's a pool there, jump in that. If you're at Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon and it's your turn, jump in those waters.
Sure.
Any innocuous pool, fountain, lagoon, living with the land water, don't jump out of the boat. Just don't. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So, Heather, I'm gonna let you talk about this one. October 16th. Do you remember what happened on that day in Walt Disney World at Epcot?
Is this a trick question? Oh, Journey of Water with Moana. I was like, wait a minute, that's 3 days past my birthday. What is he talking about? Did I
was like, it shouldn't be a trick question.
And I was like, what? Oh, Journey of Water. It is still. I literally walk after I get my salad. After I get my salad, I just kind of mosey through to like the last scene where everybody's like trying to raise the ocean. I love it. I love it at night. I love that.
I can't wait to see it. I'm excited to see it.
I love it at night. I love it at night. It's so pretty.
Yeah, it's a cool attraction. We went in November as a group, and I was with down Easter Alexa, one of our agents, Kyla, and I think Emily and Jessica were there. We all walked through it. I had never walked through it, and I had seen it for the first time. And even as a grown man, I'm like, this is really impressive. The water tricks are great. The kids were loving it, but the adults can get something out of it too, because it just is a very cool. It's like, for me, I'm like, this is what Imagineering can do. This is what they can make happen. And a lot of it's just simple stuff: jumping water, dancing water that reacts to your movements and stuff. Water fountains, water curtains, you can move your hand and walk through.
That was cool.
It's really, and I'm excited to see it at night. And you can spend 10 minutes there. Okay, this is cool. Oh, that's really nice. Walk out. You can spend an hour there. I just think it's very cool. And I know Moana has a big meaning for AKA the Moana Mom. They don't call her the Rapunzel Mom. They call her the Moana Mom for a reason. Heading in November, the Hatbox Ghost finally returned to Magic Kingdom, which I think is great. But I also don't understand why it took so long to put the Hatbox Ghost in. They announced it in August, and then like 3 months later, it was in. I'm like, why don't you just do it and then say, guess what? The Hatbox Ghost is here. I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those.
He was in there for the longest time, just behind the curtain.
Just behind the curtain. Yeah. I don't know.
Unless they were just like testing the lighting on him. I don't know. But he was in there for like ever, because you would just pass by it and it was just a giant curtain covering him up.
But I know he could not have been ready to go before November, because otherwise they would have opened that up for Halloween. I feel like that would have been a Halloween feature.
I agree.
Sell those parties out even faster, which, by the way, all the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties sold out. All the Christmas parties sold out. Did not sell out every one of them, but Jollywood sold out several.
Next year it should sell out all of them, because they were so good.
It really should. Now, we heard about the first night disaster. We all know this. The second night, the second time it happened, we all went. It was really good. I even heard the third night was actually great. Did we hear anything about the following party events? Like, I didn't hear anything specific. Like, oh my gosh, it's gotten better and better, or I don't know. I didn't hear anything about it.
Everybody was talking in like the pass holder group, but like how to advise against people that are telling them not to go to it and to go to it, because it is worth your money. Yeah. And I think of all of them there was one that I know that they canceled because we had bad weather here. Yes. And they refunded the money for it.
But that was weather. That wasn't anything.
But that was like awful weather.
Right.
That was the only, that was like the last negative thing that you heard, that was like, well, that's the only night I could get tickets and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it was great. It was great. They fixed night one. I'm excited for next year.
Literally, I will plan a trip around going back for Jollywood next year.
Yeah.
Hands down.
I think that's the plan. Is we're looking at doing, I think a lot of families are looking at doing that very thing, planning trips around that or whatever, because I want to go and I want to take Stephanie, and I think she'd have a blast in it.
Oh, she would love it.
She would love some of those little Metropolitans and martinis and stuff. She loves that stuff, so she would love that. And she is a very big into like the dress up, that kind of thing. She'll wear her poodle skirt. She'll wear her whatever skirt she needs to wear, and so she will.
I have a different outfit for next year. Like, I'm already ready.
I'll get her lights.
I'm going to the blue suit next year. So
you're gonna do the blue suit,
and it's gonna light up. I've determined the thing is gonna light up this time
around. Heather, did you save your light up dress? Because okay,
of course I did. The lights are removable, but of course are you kidding me? I'm gonna wear it the whole month of like November and December next year. I'm gonna wear it the whole time.
Well, my goal is next year to get the blue suit, and then the following year get the green suit. And by 2026, I'll just mix and match as I go. The blue pants with the green, the red, whatever. Maybe the tie and stuff. We'll just kind of mix and match it.
I'm gonna take it up a notch next year somehow. I'm gonna figure out how to take it up a notch.
I mean, literally by 2028, we're all going to be like on a float coming down Sunset Boulevard. We just all brought parts of the float to put together.
I am so here for this party. Oh my gosh, I want to.
Yeah,
it's
Disney'll be like, "Here comes Upon a Star."
Like
it's not necessarily geared towards adults, but it is kind of. It's got an adult.
It has more of an adult vibe.
Yeah, and it's like we feel like we can have more fun than just the kids can, and so I think that's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Also in November, Disney Wish opened up its 62nd, I believe, animated feature. 62nd. I want to say 62nd. And it did okay at the box office. Reviews were kind of tepid. I saw it. It's fine. It's like Elemental. It's safe, and from whatever people might be complaining about, was a little too safe. To me, it was not very memorable. But I do think, without opening up a whole other discussion, I do think Disney is riding the ship when it comes to animation, both in Pixar and in Disney animation. I think they've kind of adjusted some things. They've kind of said, you know what, this is working, that's not working. Let's
the original storytelling. So, get us the original storytelling.
Yes.
We did so many live actions, and listen, live action is fine.
Yep.
But you know what was really like, think of this, like those Renaissance ages and like that, where it was just these amazing stories that pull at your heartstrings, like Happily Ever After pulls at our heartstrings, right? And Enchantment didn't. Right. And I think that's what happened. Is it like, all right, yeah, I like the live action, but I already knew the story and I loved the animated classic anyway. So like, those were a little hit and miss. And where is the creative new storytelling that you guys are so good at, like good at?
In every Disney animation era, you have a down era, and then you have an incredible era. Well, we had the 80s, which led to Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin,
and 80s
Lion
was
King.
Not great.
We had the 2000s, which, I love both, but wasn't that popular. You had Home on the Range, you had Build-A-Bear, whatever. But guess what that gave us? Princess and the Frog, Rapunzel, Big Hero 6, Wreck-It Ralph, all Frozen, all of those. I think we're kind of slipping to that kind of down period where they're kind of making some adjustments. Strange World to me was terrible. Wish is just okay. I think we might have a couple more of those, but that also means too, once they get the ship righted, we're going to have some incredible coming in the future. There's going to be some incredible stories that are coming. And if you see Wish, there are like 100 Easter eggs in that show, in that movie. Disney is all the way through that. There is everything nods from.
I love watching
Parks
Easter eggs
to Walt to Peter Pan to Frozen's in there, Rapunzel's. I mean, like it's all over the place. So you can see tons of Easter eggs in Wish. Heather, have you seen Wish yet?
I have not.
Yeah, I'll get your impression whenever you finally watch it. It's an hour and a half. It's worth a sit down. So heading in December, final month of the year, we had our Dreamer statue finally opening it with World Celebration Garden, which I think they finally transferred to the neighborhoods, which I still don't know what neighborhood is what. I'm like Future World Showcase.
Discovery.
There's signs up to tell you where you are.
I know. I'm gonna try to learn it. I'm one of those people that I'm like, guys, it's Disney Springs, not downtown Disney. Guys, it's Hollywood Studios, not MGM. I don't want to be that guy that's like, it's Future World, 20 years from now. And so, but I'll learn it. Heather has seen the Dreamer statue. I'm assuming you cried.
Yes. We went the day that it opened, and it's just, and then we've been back several times, and now again. If you go not on the opening day, there's like no line to get your picture with Walt. You might behind 2 or 3 people because it's basically a cross point in Epcot. People are just crossing over to the next thing.
Well, it's just like where the fountain was. It's just.
Did you see it when you went?
Yeah.
Did you get over there to see? Okay.
Yeah, but it was dark. I couldn't get a picture because it was New Year's. So I mean, we got over there, but
that's
on the way to ride rides, because after midnight. We're like, we're going to let the park clear out a little bit. And the rides were open till 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. So we went on Soarin' and living with the lake.
Very nice. Very nice. Also opening Summer House on the Lake, which I still think sounds like a condominium. The menu looks great, though. I'm excited about, and they have a cookie bar that's there.
They do have a cookie bar.
I posted about, and they responded like, we can't wait for you to try our cookie bar. And I'm like, guess what? I can't wait to try your cookie bar. So excited about that. Luminous also opened up on the 5th of December, which I left the park a couple of like a week or so before. My wife and my kid and my mother-in-law went. They left the day before it opened up, so they didn't get to see it. Heather has seen it. I saw it in video, but Heather, your thoughts on Luminous?
I love it. It's a great show. We did an episode on it. Like, there's like a few things that I was like, they just needed to tweak. But I will tell you that like I've seen it several times, and I'm just like, it's a good show. It is a show that Epcot needed, and I feel that people are not complaining about it the way that they did Harmonious, and there's a connection to it. It's just, it's a good show.
I think my big complaint with Harmonious was that you had to be in certain parts of the park to see the show effectively.
Correct.
And from what I understand about Luminous, you can watch it from most places around World Showcase, and even in Future World, and enjoy the show because you're not so tied into projections and stuff, and so which I think is a big deal. Speaking of Easter eggs with the Disney Wish, we got to see Once Upon a Studio, the 7-minute short that was on Disney Plus. One of the best things Disney Animation has done in years.
Hands down.
Incredible.
Storytelling.
Hands
storytelling,
7 minutes.
Bringing together the past and the future. Your favorite characters interacting. I mean, flipping Rhino was in there. Rhino is like one of my favorite characters of all time.
Yeah.
And everything from Home on the Range to Peter Pan, it's all in there. And it's
if you can think of an animated special, a freaking Black Cauldron within it. Like
yes, every time I watch it, I see something else. I'm like, oh, look at that, and it's just that there's that print, and I'm hoping they'll have it for sale. There's that print with all the characters in front of the studio, and just it's beautiful.
So
it's a beautiful tap to the 100th celebration.
I mean, bawling, like
crying.
I'm gonna start thinking about it. Like it started in the middle, and you know what I'm gonna say, Heather, and I was like like this. I was like this is ridiculous. And then I go like, no, get yourself together. And then something else happened. I was like, oh my gosh.
When Mickey looks at Walt, and says thank you.
Yeah.
And I love, here's what I love, because there was a decision that was made there. And I don't know if they actually had a conversation about it or what, but there was a decision that was made.
Yeah.
This thing could have gone where Walt talks back to Mickey, like they have a conversation. And I'm so glad they did not do that, because instead of having this imaginative Walt talking or Walt voice, it was simply Mickey, the guy, the mouse, that is Walt's creation, looking at the man himself and simply saying, thank you. Like, we are all here because of you. And it's just that's
the symbolism of it, I think, is, as I sit here and wipe my tears, is Mickey is all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mickey is saying to him, thank you from all of us, because okay, now we're blubbering.
Okay,
that's on a review.
Well, and it's a good cap to this conversation, I think, because my next question was going to be, did we miss anything? But I think the Once Upon a Studio is a good point to end on.
Yeah.
Because we're travel agents. Jen owns Upon a Star Travel, so we make no secret about that. But we do this, and a lot of us, I primarily do Disney. I do a lot of other stuff too, but my expertise is really in Disney because that's what I've done the most of. But I do that because I love what Disney is, what it has been, what it is, and what it is becoming. Overall, the parks just, there's something to that. And the parks down the street, which we won't talk about because I don't want Heather to get angry, but the parks down the street are fine. I've been there. They're fine. They have great rides.
They're great.
But there's no history there. In 50 years, maybe we're having these same conversations about that park as we're having about Disney now, because there will be some history, but there really is none right now. And so there's no nostalgia. You don't walk around going, guys, whenever I was younger, I rode Jimmy Fallon's Race Through New York, and I will just tell you, it gets me every time that panda shows up. Hashtag the panda. There are no conversations like that. However, you're probably having 20 of those conversations every day in Small World. When I was little, my parents brought me here. I hate this ride, but I'm coming here for my kid because my kid loves it. Or Dumbo, or even the conversations that are happening now around Guardians and Tron and the new attractions that are coming. And Moana, Heather's connection to Moana. She has a connection to Moana that I will never have, but I have a connection to the Barnstormer that you guys probably will never have, because that was my kid's first roller coaster, and that is his absolute delight. He loves, Barnstormer, because that was the first time he rode a coaster, and we had a great cast member moment where he got to ride it 4 times in a row, and the cast member was crying, and and so there's.
Well, it's Brady has a connection to Swiss Family Treehouse, so.
So and for me, it's just up the steps, down the steps. Okay, look at my app. Whew,
but we have
1,200 steps. So.
But there is that. It's that family, and so often it's these memories are triggered, and they're so deep, and within all of us.
I think that's a great point to go out on. So good conversation there. If we missed anything, let us know in comments or email us or whatever. I think we caught most of the big stuff. I'm sure that once we hang up, one of you will be like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we didn't talk about this." And that's okay. We'll have another show next week. We'll bring it up. So, Jen, where can we find you and on all the travails and everything? Is February your next venture down there?
February is my next venture. It was supposed to be the end of January, but we moved it to March. So
gotcha.
So you can follow me at Upon a Star Jen, or my personal Instagram is at Jen_Novotny.
And Jenn, of course, is also the host of Traveling with the Stars. It's a YouTube show. We talk all things travel. We bring some travel agents together, different people every week. And from our travel agency, we talk about everything from cruises to travel abroad to, whatever, Disney stuff, Universal stuff, and all that good times. Jenn has honored me by allowing me to be on the show a couple of times. She's let me be on the Travel with the Stars, aka the Kyla Show. But so very thankful for that. You can find that on YouTube on the Upon a Star YouTube channel. Heather, where can we find you and your adventures?
You mean me eating a salad in Epcot like every day?
Well, I was going to ask you when's your next venture, but you might be looking at your watch. Going,
it's Friday. It's Friday for Festival of the Arts. We are going on Friday for Festival of the Arts because it's the best. Kyla will listen to this and make fun of me. It is the best festival of the year. But you can find me at the Moana Mom on Instagram and Facebook.
Nice. Find me, of course, as mentioned on Facebook at Disney on $1, but also on Magic on $1. That's kind of what I designated our podcast. I guess some of our podcast stuff's on there, but also I just put random Disney stuff, travel stuff up there too. But find me on Instagram at The Magic on $1. And you can follow our show, the MSC Podcast, on email and on Gmail and on the website and all the social stuffs and things like that. So follow us everywhere. But yeah, great conversation. Thank you so much, Heather, for taking time out of your day your busy day when you're not eating a salad in Epcot to come talk to us.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
So for Heather and for Jenn, it is 2024. We got to keep thanking our Phoenicians.
Thank you for listening to the Main Street Electrical Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the MSE Podcast, or visit our website at themsepodcast.com. Be sure to subscribe, and may all your wishes come true.